All right. What are we going to do here? How's this going to work?
That's right. So this gets to the discussion about audience. Um, obviously with the simple family solution stuff, I'm pretty focused on parenting. Like that's where I spend my brain there, and um, whatever that description captured, I was aware that it was parenting heavy, but it also captured some of the other things we had talked about, and so. Um, but I'm not married to that by any stretch. So if you I enjoy conversations that are more entrepreneurial focused as well, or business, like all of that as well. So I'm very open to other audience focuses. And I'll just kind of ramble here for a second. One of the things I was thinking about today is, like, generally speaking, you know, you niche and then expand from there. Maybe that's the right way to do this if we really care
Uh-huh.
about it, growing quickly. But on the other hand, there are lots of really massive podcasts and YouTube channels that do not have a niche, like huge breadth of topics. And um, there are a lot of things that I enjoy talking about, learning about, that I have opinions on, whatever, And so, like, I I'm not sure that I want to niche down, but I also wonder if, like, that would help in the growing in the early days. So
I don't know. I think I kind of like just stumbling forward, staying confused. I don't need to like focus on entrepreneurship or business. It is something like I care about because I feel like people start businesses and grow businesses to like fix problems, and there's a lot of problems in the world. So let's like fix them with businesses because I feel like that's durable. It's kind of like a Alex Ramosi idea. But the business is just like one small part of my life. Arguably, it's the least intense, least important part of my life. Um, you feel it when it's not there, but but like I feel like that. Um, I like the idea of just like talking through what it's like to try to like, you know, live out a, faith filled, moral, ethical, just a good life in this like sludge of stupidity that's out there. Like I feel like that is maybe we can help a little bit with that, you know? I don't know. I I think there's a range of topics. Actually, there's something I want to talk about tonight that I just want to get your thoughts on this because it's like really interesting to me. So maybe the conclusion is let a thousand flowers bloom or whatever that saying is and
yeah,
see if there's something see if something picks up. And maybe I personally like these um these topics that you're um sorry, these podcasts that have lots of range to them. I feel like I think they're interesting, you know? And so if we have a lot of range too, I think that's fun. Anyway,
side note.
does that feel like closure to you or no?
No, I'm okay with that. I just think it was worth having the discussion. I'm okay with just giving it a go. I'm okay with, like, throwing spaghetti at the wall. I'm okay with, like, you mentioned something about just wanting to be our whole selves and like, talk about all the things. I'm okay with that too. Um as I said before, like, uh, in large part, primary focus here is education as far as the process, learning. I mean, everything from the technical to the conversation to interviewing, eventually, all these things. So, side note, um, Riverside for the win, because the quality of of your feed is awful. It's so bad.
Just so you know,
I
yours
sent
has
I
been
just sent you I just sent you a screenshot because I was like, look at this. Look, this is what I'm
oh my
looking at.
goodness. This is like back in the days when you were doing like recording off of Skype video and it was like yeah, this is awesome. Local recording's perfect. Also, I will say this was while you were talking or moving and whatever, yours was all glitching out too. So totally love this like local record up upload to the central system. Anyway, I got to share this with you. This is really interesting. Do you have a second, or do we need to talk about other things?
Yeah. No.
Okay. So I'm I went on like an offsite with at this new company, Pallium, it's an AI company startup, and I'm VP of product, so I'm focused on the product. The CEO is very like he's well read, he's super intelligent. It's like um one of his gifts is just kind of synthesizing and really being thoughtful about lots of things. So we have a wide ranging discussion, even though what we're trying to do is like solve the product issue. That was the reason. But anyway, midday, we started talking about some stuff. And one of the things he mentioned was context switching. And I mentioned how it's hard for me to switch contexts. Like, if I have, if I'm like working on a problem, I'm like really good at focus. But then if someone comes in and interrupts me, this is why I'm out in the barn instead of inside. Well, it's first because our farmhouse they didn't contemplate the idea of a home office when it was built 50 years ago. But the second reason is, you know, got all the kids and they're like, I've learned that interrupt control doesn't happen until age like 21, 22. And so they interrupt me. And then like what happens is it feels like everything comes crashing down and it takes a while for me to build up again. She said there's some research on this that says like it takes 27 minutes on it, like for most people to reconstitute. But listen, I want to read this to you because he kind of coalesced some thoughts and sent them to me. He's like, this is like the executive summary. Like the key is creating cognitive closure before switching and a reactivation protocol when returning. So if you can compress, anyway, neuroscience, here's the thing. Neuroscience suggests externalize your mental state through brief note taking before switching. Use psychological state shifts to mark the transition and then engage fully in the new context without preserving just in case background attention. And four, leverage environmental and cognitive cues to rapidly reload your previous context. So these are four things. First one is like unload your state and like psychologically shift or do something to mark the transition. I think that means movement. I'm not sure. And then engage fully with the new, like in my case, it's typically a child or someone interrupting me without preserving just in case background attention. So you have to like fully commit. And then the fourth is like leverage environmental and cognitive cues to rapidly reload your previous context. This approach minimizes attention residue in both directions while respecting the cognitive architecture of working memory and attention systems. That's kind of like a mouthful. Anyway, there's more here because he sent me it looks like he's like, oh, here it is. Here's an explanation of how to switch quicker and be more present. I had Claude summarize my words and rephrase them to make them more clear. I love how we're using Claude to do this stuff. Anyway, have you seen this?
No kidding.
I I I feel like there's I don't know. There's stories in the Bible of Jesus switching. He's on track and then someone touches the hem of his garment, or he's gonna go and like mourn John and then someone's like, I need to be healed or whatever. Like he seems really good at like being responsive to the stuff comes out. And I see it as like kind of annoyance. I'm like, don't do this. This sucks for me. Don't stop interrupting me. And I sometimes don't respond really well. I think most of the time I'm mostly like, no, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm staying focused. Anyways, that's something that you struggle with, or is this just like a me thing?
I don't. So let's see here. So first of all, I definitely resonate with part of this. So, the short interruptions during the day can be that's like less disruptive to me. I feel like but I'm pretty good at saying no or like saying, hey, I've got to focus. When it gets really bad, I'll lock the door. When like the kids are coming in a lot, and but that's not what I struggle with as much. What I do struggle with is uh context switching at a larger scale. So when my brain gets wrapped up in a problem, um, I'll spend several days focused on this thing, and switching context throughout those days can be very difficult. So like, let's say that like, I have my full-time gig. I've got the side projects. If something interesting is happening in the side project, like for several days in a row, I will be highly ineffective at the full time gig. Like my brain for the entirety of the day is fully engaged, and in the evenings, fully engaged in whatever this thing is. And so I have a really hard time context switching in that regard. And then the opposite is like if something important or engaging is happening, you know, for the full time gig, I'm like I get zeroed in, and that's the only thing in my brain. So at that scale, I really struggle with context switching. Like for me, it's very hard to be like, I'm going to work for 3 hours in the morning on this project, and then 3 hours in the afternoon on this project. Like that's hopeless for me. It's like my brain is either consumed entirely by the one thing. It just can't be consumed by both. Does that answer your question?
I mean, it's kind of sucky because like I was hoping that you, yes, I mean, I resonate. I would rather focus on something. I would like, and it's to such a point where it's like problematic because if I was like, if I'm trying to solve a sticky thing in software or, yeah, or if I'm trying to solve a business plan or trying to like, I just want to like focus, no distractions, no nothing. I want to be in a room that's like low, low, like I want to be in a cave and just like focus. And I guess that's probably good for my career in some sense, but it's harder to integrate. Like it was really when we did our motorhome trip and lived in the motorhome for 6 months, that was a real like that was brutal for me.
Oh,
Because I was
I can't imagine.
like, right? Because
Like sitting
first
back
off,
there on that bed with like everything happening, and there is no distance between you and the happening
no,
constantly.
yeah, totally. I mean, thank goodness for these Bose noise canceling headphones, but even then, like stuff still gets through. And also like often, so we'd get up in the morning and like I'd help get everything, get the motorhome ready to go. It's like flight check. And then we go and I'm in the back and you know how the back room hangs off the
Oh, yep.
axle, like, so
Bounce, bounce,
you're
bounce.
going, you're going you're going down the highway, just bouncing everywhere and the laptops on your, it's just, and that's when we were traveling. And then we'd stop and then the kids would go and, Lana would go explore something. And so I only really got weekends, but that, then it was quiet and that was awesome. But, anyway, I like, yeah, it's hard for me to context switch. It's like really, I'd much rather be just locked in to whatever I'm doing. And this idea of like, I guess what I learned from talking with um Joe is that I just need to commit to breaking and like totally commit to the like interruption and then come back and pick up the pieces. And that's better than me trying to like keep this like chandelier of constellation ideas up here. Like keep it. I just need to be like, no, I just like fully commit and then come back to it and pick up what's left.
But practically, does that mean you say hold on and you jot down a bunch of notes and then engage
Okay,
in
so
the
that's what he,
distraction?
okay, I'll tell you what, here's his ideas. So the first thing is you need before switching away, you type quickly bullet points of current thoughts, 45 seconds. You're like, give me 1 minute. I could probably type faster. I mean, I could probably do it faster than 45 seconds. Then you stand or you take a deep breath or 5 deep breaths. You like have to do something to like
Signal.
physically
Yep.
signal like we're doing something else now. And then I think like report paused now with child. Like so that's what he says. And then while you're present, you need to be like eye contact, physical connection, tap them on the shoulder, you know, maybe that doesn't make sense in like a professional, but with kids, I think it does. Ask genuine questions, listen. That's what I mean by like, listen actively, fully commit, and then just stay 5-10 minutes without checking the time, like no anxiety. And then when you come back, he says, sit in the same position, glance at the screen notes, read your bullets aloud, reread the last paragraph or you wrote or whatever, make a small edit or something to like break through the, I guess, writer's block or whatever, and then expect 3 to 5 minutes to fill back in it. So the total tax ideally is like, 3 to 5 minutes, but that's way
as
better than
opposed to the
like what the studies
27.
27, which is like that is my current lived experience. 100%.
Well, you'll have to give it a whirl and see if it makes a difference. Um, what's one of the things that's fascinating about this conversation is and we've talked about this before. I find myself thinking about the way the human brain works in the context of how LLMs work now constantly.
Oh,
Like,
no.
so when you talk about like, unloading and loading the context, or you also in, same with like computers, short-term memory, volatile memory versus long-term memory or whatever, um non-volatile. I anyway, so it's just interesting to be like, yeah, write to disk. In fact, like with the
Paging,
compute pack,
paging, paging.
yeah. It's like with our device, we have one requirement where the thing needs to be able to support. It's a full Linux operating system, but it needs to be able to support loss of
Wait, when
power
you say
without
your device, what are you talking about?
this guy. So
Okay, so
this
that
has
that's
this sits on the soldier and it runs some software and there's things connected to it, radios and things connected to it, right? One of the
okay, fair enough.
requirements, it's a Linux computer. One of the requirements is that upon abrupt loss of power, we need to like be in a good state next time it powers up. And so we have a circuit that has these super caps that gives us about 3 seconds of power. From loss of power, we have about 3 seconds to shut down the computer.
When you
It's
say
not
super
enough.
caps, that's like a fancy term for like a capacitor, like a mini battery.
It's a more sophisticated version of a battery, or sorry, of a capacitor. There's like a normal capacitor that have been around forever. Super capacitors are different materials. They're more recent. They store more energy and discharge it more slowly, which
Okay, fair enough.
allows them to
Sorry,
stand in place for like some places where you might use like a battery. You can use a super
got it,
capacitor. Um,
got it.
anyway, so we have 3 seconds of power before, so loss of external power. We have 3 seconds to shut the system down. And it's not enough time to do a graceful shutdown. But what we do is we run a quick command and write everything to disk. Like we just everything out of the memory, get it written to disk before we lose power. And then when it boots up, it does some checks and make sure we don't have a corrupt root file system. Um, anyways, it's like this distraction happens. It's like write to disk, and then you can go
Totally.
double
Sometimes,
check when you yeah.
sometimes my wife will come in and she'll ask me a question, and I'll be like this, and then I'll look at her, and and she'll look at me, and I won't respond, and it's a joke now. She'll say, "Buffering, buffering,
I
buffering,"
totally know what that's like, and I think
and then
Ashley and
all of
I,
a sudden,
yeah.
all of a sudden, I'm like, click, I'm there.
Isn't it? What's so funny? So I totally know what that's like, and Ashley won't say that. Every now and then, I will say that. Like it's coming. 1 second, but it's wild. It's like a legit thing where like I'm aware that something has happened, but it hasn't reached the front of the brain yet. Anyways, and I just have to kind of wait for it to come. But we get there. Buffering.
Maybe it's anyway, I think it would be better for me. I mean, it'd be better for my productivity at a minimum if I figured out how to do this better. It's not like life is going to happen. You don't get to like decide that interruptions aren't going to be a part of your life. I guess you could go be a monk somewhere, but like life happens. You got to deal with it. Lana is amazing. My wife, she can do. I swear she can carry on conversation with like 3 or 4 kids. I think it's a male female thing. She's just like maybe anyway. I don't know. She's like multitasking.
Do you work out here in the shed full time?
Yeah. If it gets really
Meaning,
cold,
like, I most. most often when we jump on calls, you're in the house, but maybe that's because it's the evenings.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of depends. It gets pretty cold. So we get a lot of snow, here. We get about easy, like on a good, on a easy winter, we'll get 7 feet of snow. Oh, sometimes this place can't keep up with the cold. It's like it's not insulated really well. I've put some like foam spray foam crap in this trying to like help, but six months of the year I can 100% be here. The other 6 months, winter months, which starts basically today, October 1st, like it's game time. Sometimes I'll be in the motorhome just because that's again a quiet, like that's definitely a cave. I'll close all those windows and just lock in.
But that's also like off. I mean, you cover that in the winter and shut it.
That's true. So that's only in the summertime. Sometimes I go in the motorhome in the summertime just because I can run the AC. It's the only thing in our property that has AC. But that's very rare because there's no. I mean, people. I guess we should say this. Like, I'm living up here in the mountains, and the only heat source we have is wood. We harvest dead wood from the forest, and that's what we heat our home with. So I did get an awesome firebox stove here, wood stove, but it's like to properly hook up the stove pipe. It's like it's like well, I got this one quote that was like $2,500, and I'm not gonna pull that off right now. It's just sitting there looking at me. In the summertime, I
I
mean, in the
thought I
wintertime,
thought you had a wood stove that functioned in that room.
okay, here's the story. We have a wood stove. Where is it? Oh, we took it outside. It's for our like 30-person like cabin tent.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we bought this thing as like an emergency preparedness thing, and then like also like maybe we'd like go set up like a camp for hunting. We've never done that. We've had this thing for like almost 20 years. So we get here and I set it up and I'm like, okay, it's like the four dog stove. It's actually kind of cool, but it has an exit port that like tapers up and it goes into this heat protected vent. I mean, inset thing on the roof of the tent, and it's meant to heat this thing, which is like 30 by 20. It's a huge tent, and I'm sure it does a good job. When I put it in here, I tried to like anyway, it smokes the thing out. If you don't that you're not supposed to go from a bigger pipe to a smaller pipe. Although the one for this one actually does that. It's a gentle graduated thing, and I've burnt it outside. And even when I've got it like perfectly dialed, I have to keep it open. Otherwise, there's not
It
enough
doesn't have enough
escape.
vents. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for that one, to make that one work here, I would need again to buy more pipe, and I might as well just have, and I'm not sure that one can, like, it gets 20 below here, and I'm not sure that would work. So if I'm out here during the winter, I have this electric heater that'll run, and it just kind of blows on my, like, it kind of comes out here out of the desk. It's right here by my feet. And so it's like this area is like tolerable, and that's it. So I will have, sometimes I'll
Oh,
have a jacket. I'll have my jacket on, and people, because I work remote and everyone's like all over the US, and the California, someone from California or down wherever where it's not very cold. They're like, dude, why do you have your parka on? Are you okay? I'm like, hey man, it's just cold.
just out in the shed. In Wyoming, it's minus 15 outside. We're at the time of the year where my desire to move to Wyoming is at the max. But then you guys are about to start posting pictures of the winter, and that desire to move to Wyoming starts to fall off.
Oh my goodness.
It is. Oh my gosh, the pictures you and Lotta have posted are just gorgeous. I mean, this kind of spring, if or fall, I don't know what.
It's fall.
Well,
For
both
sure
spring and
fall.
fall are beautiful, but you're in the fall now. Um, anyways, it's just really pretty there.
I I wish I could capture it. Like, okay, let's figure out how we can share screen. All right, you can see it here,
Yeah,
I think. So that's what it looks like. That was tonight.
it's stinking gorgeous.
Well, this doesn't I took this picture and it doesn't do it justice. That's the hard thing, is that
Yeah.
it it's like something about the sun playing on the aspen leaves is just like very vibrant, and I
It's
don't see
like
it.
you have to rub it in. Oh, it's not. This doesn't even do it justice. It's way more prettier than this. Way more prettier
Well,
than this. And I'm like
just
in the woods in Texas. Can't see a mountain to save my life.
this is why you need to move
So
up here. You
pretty.
need a you know gird up your loins
You know
and
what?
realize that
Yeah,
it's just wonderful in the winter too, just because there's,
yeah. You know
seven
what
feet of
Ashley
snow
said
for
the other
six
day?
months.
I showed her, or we were looking at one of the pictures you or Lana posted, and Ashley said, "If we had heated floors, I might consider it." so
Oh,
so
we're in. Boom.
that there's so there's like we're in, right? Like the door has
That's
cracked.
one, that's
Y-
one, maybe 2% possible. That's what that is. That's
yeah,
the ground
yep.
floor.
So we'll have to start earning the big bucks to afford heated floors there. Um,
Dude.
But that made me
That's
laugh.
the
I
other
was
thing.
like, noted. I am not going to forget that.
Our floors are this old cat. So our house started as like a hunting cabin, right? And it's all, and then they like put on another bathroom and they put on a kitchen, they put on a front room, they put on the back side, and then they threw up the second floor. So it's all kind of janky. And the floor is like old, where it wasn't like current, what is it, 12-inch centers or 16-inch centers for joists now. If you get under there, which I have, they're like, they're like 4 foot, like 48-inch centers. And then there's these big beams, like rough hewn timber. Anyway, the net result of this is that it's like, woo, it's like, it's like wavy and noisy. So you can definitely always hear things, but it stays warm um in the winter,
The
which
floor,
is
you mean that floor has enough thermal mass with the
we
with the
block off,
timber that it's
yeah, I guess I don't know what it is. We block off the vents um in the wintertime, and then the radiant heat from the stove just like, I think, fills that cavity. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't block off the vents, but that's what the locals here told me to do that first year. So that's what I did.
you're blocking off the vents to the upstairs,
No, the vents to the crawl space.
the exterior vents to the crawl space.
Correct.
Mm, interesting. Interesting. Very good.